Hey guys, welcome to another video. Like I mentioned in my last one, this is Mortal Kombat 1 on the Super Nintendo. Now, a lot of people would say that the Super Nintendo version is better than the Genesis version, by the virtue of having better graphics, a more faithful soundtrack. However, I'm not really inclined to agree. While I would agree that the graphics are quite an improvement over the Genesis version, I'm still a fan of the Genesis version's soundtrack more, and the gameplay in this version honestly isn't as close as the arcade version. It plays quite a bit differently. I would assume that the developers maybe didn't have access to the full arcade source code because Sculpted Software, the company that was in charge of doing this version, also did the much better Mortal Kombat 2 on Super Nintendo. So I'm willing to believe it wasn't developer incompetence. Maybe they just didn't have all the tools necessary to make a version as good as the other ports. Now, there aren't any cheats in this version at all. The Genesis version had two, one to uncensor it and one to have the cheat menu. The Super Nintendo version is kind of boring, it doesn't have any. So this game mode thing up here that says normal hand-to-hand, basically it says weapons allowed or weapons disabled in versus mode. Basically that means if you're playing a two-player game, you can turn off special moves. Like it says, versus mode only, it doesn't apply to the main game. Music on or off. Now, normally I like to just leave the difficulty where it's at, but I am going to tone it down to easy, mainly because there are issues with this port that make playing it normally a little more difficult. There seems to be about a second of input lag. It really makes the game much more difficult to play than any other port because you have to be slower with your inputs in order to have the game register them. Oops. So yeah, controls are already set where they need to be, and even if they weren't, I could rebind them, which is one plus the Super Nintendo version has. So we're going to go into tournament here. And we've got the same cast of characters, nothing's different here. This time I'm going to pick Sub-Zero. And as you heard there is speech, so that's another thing that this version has, is that it has full speech compared to the Genesis version. It announces who wins, says player names, the characters are more vocal, they have more grunts. Yeah, that was me trying to do a freeze there. You have to do it pretty slow. You have to go down, forward, and then do it. Yeah, it's really not being very responsive. I'm already feeling it. Yeah, not much I could have really done there. I was trying to do another freeze, but it wasn't working. Let's try to do a slide. Okay, that works pretty well. Same way as you do it in the arcade, it's back, block, and the low attack buttons. I've noticed trying to do Kano's Cannonball on this is very difficult with the input lag. You have to rotate the control pad in a full circle starting with forward. I find you have to do it very precisely. The timing on it has to be exact. Otherwise, you'll do it too quickly and it doesn't come out, or you'll do it too slowly and again, it won't come out. So, this isn't me playing bad on purpose. This is just, it honestly feels like you're wrestling with the controls. So like I said in the last video, the Super Nintendo version is completely censored. There is no blood. The fatalities, as you just saw, have been modified to be less violent, to show a little less. It's not called a fatality, it's called a finishing bonus. There's no way to uncensor this. It's locked into what it is. You have to remember, though, this isn't really the developer's fault. This was around the time Nintendo was being very Puritan. They didn't want overt violence in their games. They didn't want sexual or religious references. So a lot of that stuff had to go. So as you can hear, the soundtrack, I think the sound front they used in this game is really grating on the ears. It's not as pleasant as the arcade version. I'm trying not to have this entire video just me complaining about the game, because there are some decent things about it. But, yeah. Yeah, all the blood was recolored, which this grayish brown, people call it sweat. I honestly don't know. So doing that fatality is the exact same. It's still forward, down, forward, high punch, but he jumps back, freezes them, and then jumps back forward. It's kind of strange that the input nor the range requirement changed. And like in the Sega version, if you hit start, it pauses there because, again, you can't pause in the actual game. So if you need to take a break, go to the bathroom, get something to eat, you know, answer the phone. Oh man, I'm trying to do a freeze. The AI in this game isn't really good either. If I start tripping Raiden, I could just keep tripping him until I win. In fact, I'm going to do this on the next level because I'm going to try to fight Reptile. Now, if you're familiar with fighting Reptile in any other version of the game, you would know that there has to be a shadow on the moon background, on the pit. There has to be shadows flying by. You have to get a double flawless victory, and you have to do a fatality without using the block button. Now, in the Super Nintendo version, the shadow requirement is gone, so you can do it whenever you want. It's a lot easier to fight Reptile in that version, and because the AI isn't very good, it's also very easy to defeat him. Now, I did set the game on easy, but I did that mainly because of the input lag being a handicap. So yeah, test your might. Pretty much the exact same. You mash the low attack buttons and you hit block. So I'm going to try to do Reptile here, but if I can't get it, I can't get it. I'm just going to try to sweep Liu Kang until he loses. And he opens straight up with a flying kick, which ruined the whole thing. Oh, come on. But yeah, if you get them in a good pattern like that, you just keep tripping them, and they can't do anything about it. The AI has no counter to that. If you can get them in a good tripping loop, you've won. Now, I probably won't show this because it would require me to lose unless Liu Kang manages to beat me. But normally, when you're on the pit background in any other version of the game, if you lose, the opponent will always do the uppercut to send you flying down the pit. Now, in the Super Nintendo version, they don't, which is another way to show less violence. So I'm going to do it to Liu Kang. Again, just like in the Genesis version, it's completely clean down there. There's no bodies, there's no blood, there's no gore. It's kind of silly to even have the spikes. They fall down, they hit the spikes, and nothing. Yeah. These controls are just so sticky and slow. If you don't believe me, load this up for yourself and give it a shot. But yeah, I can just keep tripping him, and I win. It's funny they got Shang Tsung clapping in the background, but there's no audio for it. I was trying to do the freeze there. You'll notice I'll just stand there and punch. That's me trying to do the freeze, and it not coming out because of the awful delay. It makes playing this version a real bitch. I mean, if this was the only version of the game you had ever played, you might not really notice it. You might get used to it. But having played pretty much every other version of this game to death, it's really noticeable. No other version has this bad input lag. Well, the Game Boy version probably has it worse. I'll admit it's been a while since I played the Game Boy version because I don't really remember. But it's pretty bad on that version too. I won't lie. Come on. Trying to mix it up a little. That's always a kind of cool combo to jump kick them and then catch them with the slide on the way down. Then it doesn't require you to have terribly much finesse or do it fairly quickly, so it works fairly well on the Super Nintendo version. Man, Sonya's just destroying me now. Okay, come on. Let's do this. Ooh. See, all those low punches? I was trying to do the freeze there. It just was not coming out. You know, I have to admit, of all the censored fatalities, this one's still pretty decent. Basically, all the censored fatality differences are when Raiden shocks you, instead of your head popping off and blood spurting out everywhere, you disintegrate into there's a pile of ash and there's like a little skull on top of it. Johnny Cage he does like his shadow kick and sticks his foot in like your abdomen and that like kills you or something. They just fall over. Kano rips nothing out. Like, he still does the rip, but he pulls absolutely nothing out. And then everybody else is the same. Sonya, Scorpion, they still burn you to death, which is hilarious considering the non-lethality of some of the other ones. And Liu Kang's is unchanged, but his wasn't really violent to begin with. Just the spin kick into the uppercut wasn't really violent in the first place, so there wasn't really much they had to change to that. Now, I'm almost kind of curious that maybe this game originally started out having gore in it. Because when you play the Genesis version uncensored, when you uppercut people, nothing comes out. There's just nothing. Here it has like that gray sweat particles that come out, which almost make me think it was blood at one point, and then they were told, the higher-ups demanded them to change it. So instead of removing the code for it, they just changed the color for it. I would have really liked to know some of the behind the scenes of the development of this. And I got destroyed. Yeah, there's no continues in this game. You can continue as many times as you like, which is, I guess, handy when you've got the game on a home system, just being able to play as much as you want. So I'm going to do Kano. I'm going to try to do the cannonball, and it's probably not going to work. It's probably going to end pretty terribly for me. Thankfully, though, the AI should have calmed down a little. Oh, and I managed to do it first try. We both did it, like, right on bat. Yeah, I'm trying to do the cannonball, and it's just not coming out. You have to do it at such a precise speed. It's pretty ridiculous. Yeah. He doesn't even move half the time, like I'm doing it. And he's not. I'm rotating the D-pad around, and he's just standing there. Oh, come on. See if I can just win through jump kicks. That's another thing that can happen. The AI hasn't done it yet, but they can just pick you up and continuously throw you over and over again, like when it'll say finish him. They'll probably throw you like 4 or 5 times, and the game has not progressed or moved on from that point. Alright, let's play as Johnny Cage. Show his censored fatality if I can win. Asshole, I was trying to do that. The low blow is still in this. That's almost not even worth showing off. I knew he was going to do that shadow kick, so I just decided to jump back. Try to counter with on my own. Just exploit the AI's inability to do anything about sweeps. Yeah, that just looks utterly ridiculous. Trying to do that fatality is actually a lot more difficult than it should be. Mainly because you have to press forward 4 times to do it, but because of the input lag, if you don't press them precisely, it won't register all 4 presses, and he'll just punch them instead. It actually makes something that should be really easy to do much more difficult. It's just the game can't can't accept a certain number of inputs at once. Like, if you just try to do too many within one frame, just the game cannot handle it. I'm also noticing this game runs at a much lower frame rate, because as I'm recording it, I can see what frame rate this is at. And this, while the Genesis version was running around 59, 60, this is running around 45 to 51. So it's also quite a bit slower. And I'm not playing like a PAL version or anything. Or anything that'd be different. This is the US version. Okay. Let's try Scorpion. This spear is going to be a pain in the ass to do because it requires you to hit back twice, but what can you do? It's kind of unfair because the AI doesn't have any problems doing the moves, of course, because they don't have to actually press buttons to do it. One interesting thing is that you see Raiden's name, it's spelled with a Y. Raiden. Basically in all the home ports up until MK4, his name was spelled like that. Whereas in the arcade version it would be the I, you know, Raiden, or Raiden, depending on how you want to pronounce it. That was evidently something Acclaim wanted to put in there. I don't know why. Some people said it was to avoid confusion between like the Raiden shoot 'em ups, and I think that's just kind of stupid, to be honest. Like, how would you confuse a character in a video game with a title for another video game? That just doesn't make much sense. I mean, yeah, there's a little bit of confusion now between Raiden and Raiden from Metal Gear Solid, but yeah, when you get up to the endurance rounds in the Super Nintendo version, it gets pretty bad. The AI starts getting a little smarter. You gotta react a little faster, which isn't easy to do with the slower inputs. Yeah. See if I can just cheap out with Sub-Zero. That's probably going to be the best way to get through this. Alright. See if I can get past Endurance 1. Ah, I was trying to do the slide to go under the knife. I knew he was going to throw it. Okay, you see that right there? That's another property that's fucked up. See how he threw the knife, and then after I froze him, the knife went away? Now, if two players throw projectiles in this game, whoever's projectile hits first cancels out the second one. And if you played pretty much any fighting game before, or any other version of Mortal Kombat, you would know what should happen is that you would trade hits. Like, he would hit me with the he would hit me with the knife, but I'd hit him with the freeze. He'd get frozen, but I'd take damage. It's only fair. We were both vulnerable, and we both threw a projectile at the same moment. Now, in MK1 on Super Nintendo, it doesn't work like that. Whoever's projectile hits first... Oh, see, that's that throwing thing. Where if the AI throws you, it doesn't count as a attack for the finish him sequence. But I had frozen him, and then his knife disappeared, because mine hit first. And that's not how that's supposed to work at all. Just another thing that makes me think I don't know if they had the source code to this game. Now, both Probe, the developers of the Genesis version, and Sculpted Software were both subsidiaries of Acclaim. Now, it would make me think it'd be kind of weird that Acclaim would deliberately only give one team the proper tools. You know, stuff like source code. Maybe it had to do something with the fact that since they knew the Super Nintendo version wasn't going to have any gore, and they knew it was going to get shit on regardless, they didn't have to really try to make a good game. But that's pretty shitty reasoning right there. And considering Sculpted Software went on to make the very good MK2 on Super Nintendo, I don't think it couldn't have just been sheer incompetence, because otherwise they wouldn't have been able to make a good port with MK2. So I'm not exactly sure what went on there. What I am sure, though, is that the fact that I can't get past this endurance round is kind of getting annoying. I'm going to try to just sweep out the AI. I tend to have this problem every time I play this on Super Nintendo, as I get to the endurance rounds and it just gets to be really ridiculous. Not because the game isn't even really getting that much harder, it's just the AI is getting smarter, they're reacting faster, and you can't react that quickly. I was trying to do a torpedo there, but it didn't come out. Yeah. This is easily the worst of the home console ports. Talking just straight to home consoles, not talking like computers or handhelds. See, look at that. Normally in the, wow. Yeah, see how he jump kicked me after I did the torpedo? Normally the AI isn't supposed to do that when they drop in. In any other version of the game, when the endurance opponent, when the next guy comes in, they're not supposed to attack you. But in this case, he jump kicked me. So not only could he do an action, but the AI was still reading my inputs and was still aware of what I was doing in that situation. So like that counter, you know, from a gameplay standpoint, was the best move for them to make. But normally they're locked while they're doing that, so it's a lot harder to get that free hit in because they're still able to attack you while they're doing it. Come on, let's see if I can do this. No. I was trying to throw a freeze, but it wasn't really coming out, but I still beat him, so I guess that's what matters. Okay. Let's see if I can just sweep him out. Dude, Kano and those cannonballs are fucking crazy. It's like all he does. Ah, come on, dude. See that? He jump kicked me. He kicked me in the head while he was jumping in. They can't do that in any other version. And your controls get locked for a second there while they're coming in, so it's even harder to get that free hit. It's still doable, but when you're standing that close when they jump in, I couldn't have blocked that because my controls had been locked. Come on. Yeah. Ugh. Like my uppercuts are going straight through him. He's sweeping me. This is what, like the 5th or 6th time I've lost against this fight? I really don't want him to do a cut, because it doesn't really make sense in a fighting game, but I might have to if I'm on here for too much longer. It just makes it so much harder than it needs to be in order to win. Now, if I somehow got a double flawless on this and managed to fight... Okay, I won't. Yeah, normally the game doesn't like it when you trigger Reptile in an endurance round, because the game is still stuck in the endurance round mode. It's kind of silly. You look up, like, Reptile glitches on YouTube, I'm pretty sure you'll find tons of videos. Oh, come on, you bastard. Turns out the best strategy to win this game is just mash high punch, and the AI doesn't know how to counter that, evidently. I was trying to do uppercuts there. Those 2 uppercuts were failed freezes. Yeah, if you don't believe me, just go ahead and just grab any Super Nintendo emulator, be SNES for all I care, and give it a shot. Yeah, that shit's annoying. Basically, instead of you being able to get a free hit on the AI, they get a free hit on you instead, which is fucking ridiculous. Just for that, you're going down the pit. God, that looks so bad. This screen doesn't even, like, shake or anything. Come on. Oh. Yeah, I was smashing the fuck out of those buttons. It wasn't going up anywhere. I pulled the trigger at the last second and he didn't hit it. I was too late. You know, knowing the rest of the game, there's probably input lag there too. Wouldn't be surprised. Okay, now that I'm not fighting Kano, things should go a little better. Unless Liu Kang decides to start getting too happy with his bicycle, or not bicycle, but flying kicks. Yeah, see how he can just sweep me and my uppercuts don't even hit him? In the arcade version, he would sweep me, but when I'd pop up to do the uppercut, it would hit him. And it would be an okay trade-off. He'd hit me, but the uppercut would do more damage to him than his sweep would do to me. So yeah, his spear just completely disappeared. In the arcade version, or any other version, the spear would have still come out. It would have hit me. I would have taken damage from it. But he wouldn't have pulled me in. Here, it just makes it go away. See if I can time it to where Liu Kang throws a fireball and I hit him with a freeze first, so I can show it off a little better. And of course, the flying kick, that's not a projectile, so... Ah, I swore that wasn't gonna hit. Okay, why is the game getting easier now? Ah, I didn't think that was gonna work. Normally, it's trivially easy to jump into Sub-Zero's fatality, because if you just do the flip and hold forward, you can tap it forward, down, forward right as you hit the ground, and then hit high punch, and he'll do it as soon as he lands. That had to be timed very well in order to do it with the control delay. Oh, come on. Come on. I have to be really careful now because I don't have much life. See? Oh, he didn't actually get the projectile out that time. Oh, come on. Ugh. Oh. This video is going to be like an hour long. I'm just not getting it out fast enough. Thank Christ this game has infinite continues. Could you imagine if you only had 6? Like in the Genesis version? You'd be screwed. Alright, let's try somebody else. Let's pick Johnny Cage, because then the AI can't be Johnny Cage. Okay, as long as it's not Kano and his cannonballs, should be fine. Double throw shit, come on. Didn't even stand a chance. I guess it's worth mentioning Sub-Zero has his actual fighting stance in this version, whereas in the Sega version he just has scorpions. Oh, come on, dude. Speaking of projectiles, let's see if I can... I need to pick somebody who has a projectile I can win the fight with. I'll show you Liu Kang. Somebody with a damaging projectile. There's a humorous glitch, because this game is also glitchy as hell. I haven't been able to show this off in the video. It's not like a glitch you can easily reproduce, but I have tripped people from the full length of the screen. It just happens. See, his freeze just disappeared, and then my fire disappeared. Yeah, come on. In order to trigger this glitch, I just have to win the round with my last hit being a projectile. So, like, pretty much anyone can do it except for Sub-Zero because his projectile doesn't hurt people. Just trying to trip him. Get him. Stuck in the tripping loop. Okay, so my last hit in that round was a fireball, right? So at the start of this next round, if I've done it right, I should just be able to do this. Yep. If you win a fight with a projectile, at the start of the next round, all you have to do is press the button to fire the projectile to actually finish it, and you can do it. So, for instance, Liu Kang's fireball is forward, forward, high punch. Since I won the round by using that, all I had to do was tap high punch to throw that fireball. I didn't have to do anything else. So that's another really, how could you miss that glitches? Unless I just playtested the entire game with Sub-Zero. Oh, come on, dude. Okay, there we go. Yeah, I can't do a jump kick into her because then she'll just punch me out of the fucking sky. It's too risky in this version. Yeah. Getting him trapped in that sweep shit is just so ridiculous. Once you hit him with it, there's nothing they can do. It's just a matter of once the AI gets better, it's harder to trap them in it. But once you get them... Hell, they'll even trap you in it. Normally, like I said, you could use a uppercut to free yourself, but in this version it doesn't work. Wow, that was really risky. I wish I could have said it would have paid off, but she destroyed me because I didn't have much health left. Bastard Sub-Zero helped get rid of most of it. Sub-Zero's a little tricky because he's got that slide which he can go into from on the ground. Oh, please let this work. Please let this work. Oh, she was against the wall. Yeah. She threw me 3 times. And none of those ended the fight. I don't know if it happens when you do it. I almost want to test it now. Alright, I'm going to be Sub-Zero just so the AI can't spam the freeze and the slides and all the other fun garbage. Maybe if I can just trap him with the freeze, I can just sweep him to death. I hadn't even thought of that. Well, if I can do the freeze, come on. Come on, do the freeze. There we go. Come on, do the freeze. And then he didn't do the sweep. It's okay, I gotta run it anyway. My victory is assured. This is just the dumbest shit. See, looks like they're blocking it, but it doesn't help them. Okay, there we go. Perfect. This is exactly what I wanted for Christmas. Ironically, I'm recording this on Christmas Eve. Let's see. No, throws don't count. You'll run out of time, but you can throw them as much as you want, and it doesn't consider it ending the match at all. Okay, well, he did his winning post twice. That was kind of glitchy. Alright. Get off me. Get off me. Alright. You can do the exact same thing. Except he's actually blocking. That does like less damage than an uppercut, his grab and pound. In the other versions it hurts a lot, but here it barely took any health off. Not that I'm really complaining, but it makes the game a lot easier. obviously. Like, his projectile does more damage than it. Or it does about the same, actually. But his standard attacks hurt more. Come on. I'm just in a bad loop. There we go. It's cheap as hell, but trying to fight Goro legitimately, okay, is just an exercise in futility. It's just not gonna happen. There we go. I got him now. Oh, shit! I almost had him. Fuck. Come on, dude. Yeah, that hurts less than my jump kick. My jump kick does more damage. Or two of them. Kinda silly how little damage that does. Just try to hit him with uppercuts. There we go. Okay, that wasn't too bad. I thought I was gonna lose to him to a second there. Alright. Come on. I can't get it to go any higher than that. No, I had a pen here at my desk. I should have tried that. Well, too late now. Not about to go through this entire game again to see if the pen tricks works, because I really don't care. It's the Super Nintendo version. Of course, if I can get him to turn into somebody who I can trip. Oh, come on! Damn it! That jump kick sailed way over him. He's doing the exact same shit in the same order. Come on, Shang. Be a good boy. Just die like you're supposed to. Oh, he's about to do a skull there. What the hell? That uppercut didn't hit him at all. Okay. Yeah, he's turning. He always turns into Kano and then does a cannonball. Well, this is working embarrassingly well. Flawless victory. That's what I like to see. Oh, he didn't turn into Kano for once. Or at least not right off the bat. He's been Johnny Cage before. Come on. Take it like a good boy. Now he's gonna get revenge because I flawlessed him. He's mad now. That was kind of weird. We kind of both hit each other. Because I think he lost. I wasn't really paying attention to his health bar, but he lost health and I lost health. Come on. There we go. Oh, whoa! Did you see that? He picked me up from like way far away. I was jumping backwards when he did that. Or at least I had like started to. Come on. There we go. Might have to put a seizure warning in the description for this. So yeah, he actually has his proper death animation here. He doesn't just fall over and explode like he does in the Sega version. So yeah, the text takes a lot longer to display. victory music is already well into gear. We haven't even seen the ending screen yet. So what's kind of lame is that this happens. You just get scrolling text, which I guess is easier to read, but you don't get their unique winning pictures. They just pose in front of their statue in the warrior shrine, which kind of sucks. Like the Genesis version had the proper arcade endings where it had the, you know, the pictures and on the stone background. So we're just gonna go straight into the credits. Does this do a cast of characters? I honestly can't remember. Yeah, directing dude, lead dude, Swiss Army dude. You know, I'd complain that they're overusing the word dude, but I really have no place to talk. I also should show you when this cycles back around to the opening demos. You know, the iconic Goro Live screen from the arcade version that has that really badass image of Goro, and it's like, whoa, who the fuck is this? This guy looks badass. You know, it was in the Genesis version too, but this version, well, has something a little different. Okay, so it does the cast of characters, but it just shows it in text. It doesn't have them jump on the screen like the arcade and the Genesis version did. So, in some ways this version's a little better, but in some other ways it's also a lot more limited, which kind of sucks. So yeah, that's it. It just loops you straight back to this screen. Let's see if we can get it to show the Goro Live screen. Should be the first thing, okay. Interesting fact about that high score table. There's no way to actually get a scoring on it. Even if you beat one of the scores and get enough wins, it never triggers. It's unused. Yeah. So the bio screens there, it just shows the character sprites from in the game on some sort of blue gradient. In the arcade version, it had sort of like an FMV of them posing around and doing some martial arts. Yeah, take a look at this shit. Again, it's the same crap. It's just a sprite from the game on top of a blue gradient and scrolling text. Like, what the fuck? I mean, for fuck's sake, man. The Super Nintendo could have fucking handled a big background, couldn't it? Oh well. Well, from here on, I'm not sure what version I'm going to do next. Really, there's quite a lot that I could do. There's, of course, the handheld versions. There's the Game Boy and the Game Gear. There's also the home computer versions. There's the Amiga. There's the PC MS-DOS release, which would also be doable. There's also the Jack's TV unit, the standalone little plug-and-play TV game. I do actually own that. That I would have to capture through a capture box because, as far as I know, there's no emulation for that at all. Sega CD version, which would honestly be very similar to this, right? Or not this, but the Genesis version. But yeah, not sure where I'm going to go after that, but you guys have a good one. If there's any games you want to see me do in the future, be sure to comment down below. Yeah, so, if there's anything else, you guys have a good one.